Pandemic has been all about pivoting your business to the current conditions. And in today's video, I want to go through one of the key leaders in that, really working with fitness professionals and transforming their business from one that's in a physical location, working one-to-one with people, and changing it to an online business where they can really thrive even after we get out of this pandemic scenario. So stay tuned as I break down the funnel and how he's reaching out to these fitness pros, really selling the proposition of using this coaching and changing their business in a quick period of time. And in some instances, one of his proof points is getting results within 24 hours. If you're new to my channel, I'm Czekanski. I'm a funnel strategist, really working with coaches to build out their sales funnels online, really working with those coaches that already have an established online presence and really improving in each step of their funnel those ways they can kind of throw gasoline on it and get a further acceleration in their business, get more qualified leads and clients coming to them at lower cost along the way. So I really come in as kind of that funnel fixer to look at and kind of diagnose what areas of your funnel we can further improve so you get even more results. So every single week, I'm taking a look at the funnels that I see out there. Some of them are current clients, others that I just find interesting. And I'm really showing you some of the best practices that they're using in each step of their funnel to get more qualified leads their way. So you have a better idea as you build out your funnel and improve it along the way, what's really working with your competition and the broader industry so that you can get better return from your online investment. So hit that subscribe button, hit that notification bell so you get notified every time I put out content every single week. And with that, let's jump into this week's industries out there that are going through that process of changing from a physical location and that one-to-one contact to being more online. And it kind of goes across the board, whether it's e-commerce or other areas. But in the fitness industry, you still have that need for people and personal trainers within that within the gym that want to interact and have that personal connection. But within this pandemic, that not being possible, a lot of personal trainers have tried to figure out like, okay, what's next for me? How do I get online? And how can I do that really quickly? Especially as some of their paychecks and their clients and their access to those gyms got cut off almost instantaneously back in March or April. They were kind of left at a scenario where they kind of had to figure it out. They had to pay their bills. They had that expertise. They still had a few weeks prior. They just didn't really have the access to the client base and really using online to get them there. So there's a multitude of online coaches out there that are trying to teach fitness professionals how to get online. But I really wanted to highlight one of the key leaders in that, in Monte, who has really done it himself. He's really kind of walked the walk in terms of what he teaches. So he's one that kind of started by within a gym. He started out as a personal trainer, earning $10 an hour at his local YMCA. So he's doing that physical, building his client base one-to-one. And he's been able to kind of transform his own business to an online fitness community and really building out and showing the best practices for a lot of these fitness professionals, getting results really quickly. And what really stands out, as you'll see, is he's able to, especially during this pandemic period, kind of work through and get people results really quickly. So in that scenario, back in March or April or even the last few months, he really has some great testimonials and success stories that really prove that he has a proven process to get people from where they are right now to building that online presence and really finding their niche and putting out an offer that really resonates with them with kind of a few steps within his process. So it kind of shows, again, that he's kind of built his business in one way, but he's kind of teaching what he's learned along the way. It's not a lot of magic tricks, as he talked about, not one-time things. It's a very comprehensive process that'll walk you through. And he's getting people results, and it really shows within his sales pages, but also in some of the marketing that he's doing. So I'll walk you through some more advanced strategies in terms of retargeting that he's doing within Google and Facebook, but also using webinars to kind of really build that relationship, because his name and his presence and his experience is really key to building that relationship with these fitness pros, getting them in the door and ultimately getting those results. So his authority is very much important, and he knows that. So he's really building that along the way, building that relationship really quickly with his prospects to kind of shut down any kind of hesitations or objections they have along the way, So they're ready to kind of commit to his program and start getting results right away. So let's hop in and I'll show you each step of his sales funnel and how it's kind of working. And you'll get an idea of what's really working well and what suggestions I would have in each step of the process on how he could improve. And how I found Vince, and it really starts with kind of Google. So what he's doing is running Google ads. I don't know the specific keywords that he's using, but if I just use, for this Google search, I just search for Vince Del Monte. But if I was going to guess, it really is kind of thinking about those keywords that these fitness professionals are typing into the Google search as they think about their business, kind of transforming it to the online world and showing up within this. So you can see the ad here at the top of what he's running. So Vince Del Monte, again, kind of tapping into the authority that he has in there. So talking about his authority, he has a large YouTube channel, he has a lot of social presence out there, especially on Facebook and elsewhere, and we'll show you that to you in a second. So he is one of those that has kind of built up his authority. People know him. So when you see an ad and see his name, that's going to catch his attention. And then he gives you a promise here. So landing your 5 high ticket clients during this time of uncertainty. So giving some type of promise that he can lead with, getting you to that online business and getting you those first 5 clients really quickly. So that's kind of a key promise, especially as you're sitting here, as a fitness professional, kind of thinking about, my gym's closed, or, it's been restricted over the last few weeks and months. Like, where do I go to kind of use my expertise to get a broader audience and get some income in the door? So really leading with that promise and clicking through there. So ultimately, if I click through to this ad, it goes to, kind of his program, his masterclass. So again, what he's leading with is a webinar. So he does have this expertise, and you see it here at the top, where he's talking about, how he's been in, all these different areas. So whether it's ESPN or Entrepreneur, so like all these brands that these fitness professionals really know and love, he has been associated with them. He's put content forward. So again, starting from the very top in terms of his authority and why he has kind of that brand is what he's leading with at the top, and getting into, like, again, at the headline, like, what is the key promise that he wants to make? So, using his 6-step process. So he has this proven process to pivot to this online model and landing, again, what's the key benefit? 5 high-paying clients in as little as 24 hours. So he did have one of his past clients, was able to kind of land a few clients within 24 hours. So he's using that testimonial as a way of kind of tying into the benefits. So if I think about the headline a little bit, so how would I improve it a little bit more? Instead of talking about kind of a 6-step process, let's give a unique name to it. Like, what is something that he can talk about his proven process and put some kind of unique name, put some intellectual property behind that. That's going to increase the curiosity of his audience as they come to this page. And it's going to allow him to have each of his testimonials talk about that proven process in a little bit more detail and how it helped their specific business. So it's a great way to kind of tie in those success stories with what he's doing from a personal process as well. A little bit more detail. Of course, he's selling with a live webinar. So every single week, he gets live with people that opt in, kind of goes through that. The reason you do it live versus having kind of a recorded webinar is you have the ability to kind of interact a little bit more with your audience, put some bonuses in there, go through the Q&A and answer any specific questions you might have. And that leads to, having that audience, you tend to have a little bit more energy as well. So it tends to be a better webinar, and people get to build that relationship with you. You get to ask them questions along the way and see their feedback within the Q&A feed as well. So I've seen several businesses do this. Obviously, you can put out that recording as well when you can't do a webinar every single week. But it's just a great way, especially if you have an authority where you are an authority in your business, to kind of create that relationship, kind of speed up that relationship with people that are coming in cold from Facebook ads or Google ads to your business, and eliminate any objections, hesitations, whatever it is, to get them to buy and to kind of trust you and go through it that way. So let's go through kind of just his webinar kind of sales page to kind of get you to his webinar, which, in this case, on the 24th, is on the 26th. So again, a little bit of urgency to sign up before that webinar comes through. He's limiting it to the first 100 people, again, creating some scarcity so that you sign up right away. You don't have a lot of time to think about it. It's a great way to get a little bit more signups and get people making a decision, ultimately hitting this green button. So below that, he has also a free workbook, which has, within his, thing has a little bit more of, some of the secrets into big profits and scaling your business. And then, here's where the crux of the page is, kind of a list of bullet points, which are meant to kind of just talk about kind of the benefits of joining the webinar, but also to bring out some of the curiosity. So he does this a little bit along the line. I think he can do it a little bit more in terms of the curiosity, in terms of like looking at parts of his webinar. He goes through specific strategies, which I think he can tease out a little bit more and talk about those specific benefits, but also talk about how the rest of the industry kind of goes out there and the rest of his coach, the coaches that he's competing against, why their strategies really aren't working. So one of the ones that he has here, he talks about kind of, paying for ads and how he doesn't believe in that, especially for this program. So, that's a great way to kind of knock down what other coaches or what other advice your current, prospects are dealing with. So they might have heard that they need a funnel or social media ads to really transform or pivot their business. To do that, and with that, they need a lot of capital to do that. Well, he's just saying, no, I can give you kind of the playbook to get started right away within social media, but doing it a very organic way, build your tribe, and eventually get those 5 high-ticket clients within a short period of time. So kind of starting from the top here, 6 little-known strategies. Again, kind of the key here, he probably should put some type of name to his strategy. And again, instead of having maybe 6, 6 is a lot to kind of, for a lot of people to remember. He can probably consolidate down that to either 3 or 4. I tend to like to go with 3 because it's just a really easy to, remember and kind of go through. And, within the, online fitness business, kind of the 3 keys that you really want is, number 1, you need to catch your, the group that you're trying to capture online. You need to catch their attention first. Like in the sea of other options that they have out there from a fitness perspective, you have to do something online that kind of catches their attention, stops their scroll, gets watching your stuff. So that's kind of number 1. Second thing is kind of engaging with them. So how do you kind of build a relationship with them? How do you get them to the point where they want to make a decision? And then, in his webinar, he talks about kind of putting out one offer, putting out one price point to make it really easy and simple. And that's one of the tenets of his program as well, is kind of like keeping it very simple and not having these price points all over the place. So, if you can kind of consolidate, again, keep it to kind of a 3. A lot of people try and create like an acronym. That's a great way of kind of allowing people to remember it as well. But keeping it very simple, so it's kind of shareable, it's memorable, and doing it that way, tends to be 6 or 9 or 12 secrets tends to be a little bit much, and people only remember a few of those things. So if you can kind of keep it very simple in terms of your process, but again, give a name to it, that's even better to creating that word of mouth, which really is what you're looking for. And then, for the rest of them, same thing with a VPS strategy. Again, kind of tough to remember in terms of that. You're not really sure what that VPS stands for. Again, some of that is curiosity and getting you to the webinar to kind of figure out. But, putting some unique names to that to kind of spark your curiosity and make it a little bit more memorable might be a little bit better. And then kind of just adding specificity. So in these bullet points, how can you add a little bit more specific so you get to the point where people have to join the webinar to kind of figure out what is the answer to these bullets. They have to know to kind of figure that out. And I think you can do a little bit more for some of these to get to the point where that's the case. I didn't really go through all of his webinars, so I wouldn't be able to do it on the spot, but there's ways to kind of refine some of these to really ramp up the curiosity, kind of highlight some of the benefits there and get that going. And then we get to the point where kind of introducing him. So, talking about his authority is really important. A lot of it here is kind of talking about his successes. So 4 successful 7-figure businesses, how he's kind of built, profitable businesses. And in one case, again, with that one client, he did it in as little as 24 hours, and really kind of hitting on some of the other competition as well, how The rest of them tend to be more gurus, which don't have a sustainable business. He's more of an expert that kind of has done it himself. If I was going to add to this a little bit, so maybe 1 or 2 lines, it doesn't have to be a big thing, but talk a little bit more about his story. So one of the things that I saw in one of the podcasts is that he started his business, again, within a specific gym. He got, he's earning $10 an hour at the YMCA. That was kind of his first job. Kind of like telling and sharing some of that, his early days, and showing that he was kind of at the same level as his audience is a great way to kind of start with that relationship and show that, and kind of share those stories about how he's been in their shoes before, but was able to kind of transform his business. So another great way, so like sharing some of those stories about how he's kind of taken his business from where, a lot of his prospects are today, right now, and how he was kind of propelling himself. And again, talking about that step by step. So, giving a specific name to his process and how that helped him and how he actually found his process. So like as he went through, what was that transformational moment that allowed him to kind of make that move from in person to more of that online business as it went along. And one of the things that at the bottom here, kind of throughout the pages that you'll see that Vince really does well is kind of sharing the social proof, like especially in the coaching world, especially in the fitness world, it's super competitive. So, the ability to kind of show, a variety of different, fit pros, whether it's across genders, across the demographics, really important. It allows people to kind of look at these pictures, kind of see what they've been doing. You kind of have a variety of different businesses as well, ones that are kind of at the higher dollar range. So one that hit 225, others that are around 100K. So you kind of have these mix of things. So as the prospects go through, they can kind of resonate either with the pictures or, the specific businesses and say, okay, this person is just like me. If he or she can get results, Vince can probably help me as well. So there's a great way of doing that. And you'll see that a little bit later on. What he does really well is brings in more recent testimonials. And that's really important as well, because especially in the, the COVID environment, your process is only good if it works in the current environment. I think he brought through testimonials that really speak to, even in quarantine type environments, he's been able to help students kind of pivot their business from gyms to online, just in the last few weeks and months. So that's really important. So that's really it. So again, you sign up for the webinar, you join that webinar on the day. The thing to remember with webinars, especially live webinars, is not, the vast majority of people aren't going to show up. It's just a kind of a function of, what it is when they sign up on a specific day, a couple days before, locking that into their schedule, or actually, getting distracted by a bunch of other things just happens. So you kind of have to prepare for that in your marketing. Like maybe less than 50% of the people are going to show up for my webinar. So let's be prepared for that. Like let's have kind of our marketing set up so that when they don't show up for the webinar, how can we kind of share that, how can we share some of the information that we might have shared in our webinar through a sales page, through our email campaigns, all that. So everybody has the same information. So they're kind of excited and motivated to sign up. And so you're kind of covering the bases. So those people that show up for the webinar build that relationship, but also those people that don't show up. And again, that's the majority of people. How do you kind of, hit those people as well within your marketing so they have the right information, so they're kind of sold on your process and everything that's involved in going through that. So Vince does that in some respects, and we'll kind of go through some of the other ways that he could do it a little bit better, especially around email in particular. So one of the things I also want to mention is, Vince has kind of set up this for remarketing as well and retargeting. So he does have the Facebook pixel on this page. So I'll just give you I have the Facebook pixel helper, and this kind of just shows you if there's a Facebook pixel on this page. So one of the things is anytime you're sending a Google ad or a Facebook ad directly to a landing page or a sales page and hoping people sign up is, they get distracted by a lot of different things. And for whatever reason, they might not sign up on the day or at that time. But if you have the pixel set up correctly from a Google perspective or Facebook perspective, you can really follow those people around the internet in the next few hours and on the next few days to kind of just remind them like, hey, you were on this sales page, you didn't sign up for my webinar. Just a reminder to go back to that page and sign up right away, and really to bring back some of the benefits as well. So that's what I'm going to show you next is some of his remarketing ads that came through on Facebook. And really the idea is there, you come to this page, you close it off. Next time you go to Facebook, you're kind of scrolling through the page, you'll see his, you'll see his retargeting ad come through. And it'll be, it's like he's following you around. It kind of seems a little bit weird at first, but it's kind of, you're getting to the point where you want that omnipresence, where kind of people start seeing you everywhere, and you kind of plant that seed in their mind where, okay, maybe this is something that I'm interested in and something to explore further. And again, you're top of mind, and when that webinar does come about, they're more likely to sign up and they're more likely to attend. So really important, and just a little bit more advanced way of doing it. So using that pixel to kind of collect and create those custom audiences. So again, you can hit those people with ads and either remind them or sell them on your program a little bit more, or put a different offer in front of them, if that makes sense. So I'll show you those retargeting ads right now. We are in Facebook ad library. I'm going to show you a couple different, I'm not sure if all these ads are retargeting ads, but I got hit by 2 different ones. So I'm going to show you those where it comes with 2 different approaches, kind of targeting 2 different pain points that you might have as a fitness pro right now to get you to join his webinar, and ultimately goes back to that webinar registration page. So first one is the one here on the left hand side. So you can see just from the video graphic, he does some selling in that, but he also does selling here in the copy as well. So it's kind of effectively kind of 2 ads in one. So if you watch that video and you're motivated to sign up, you click the link, or you read the ad copy, or the combination of both. So really effective way to kind of take use the space effectively. And then this one really kind of targeting those the personal trainers that really are overworked. So, they're not making a lot of money, but they feel like their entire life is stretched. They're not spending time with their family. They're kind of very much overworked, but being underpaid in this instance. And he's kind of hitting you directly with kind of this pain point and talking about this opportunity. So there's enough curiosity there that you hit that see more button, or you watch that video to learn a little bit more. And then as you kind of go through the ad copy a little bit more, that's where he talks about the program in a little bit more detail, talks about that step-by-step program, and a lot of the stuff that he mentions on that webinar page as well, really bringing through some of the benefits that he's talking about. So making your own life and dreams come true. So trying to give them a visual what their life is going to look like. So in that video as well, standing in front of a really nice house, in front of a really nice car, trying to give these fitness pros kind of a different mindset, more of an abundance mindset of what their life is going to look like after he works with him. So very much tries to do the same thing on the webinar. So as much as he's trying to sell that program, he's trying to change the mindset and trying to give these prospects a visual of what their life is going to look like. And what that does is give them more of a motivation to join the program, but also gives them a better idea of what their investment is going to ultimately turn out to be. So a lot of coaches will talk about everything that's included, whereas in their marketing, they really have to focus on the end benefits. That's really what prospects really care about, giving them a visual of what their life is going to be like once they've been through this investment, once they've been through that coaching. The actual program isn't always, and the education isn't always as exciting. So trying to sell that part of it isn't the best way to do it. It's all about trying to give them that forward momentum and trying to get them focused on kind of the end benefits of what life is going to be like once they have this coaching and investment coming through. So again, really effective way of doing it. Again, hitting a specific pain point, but also kind of mentioning the benefits that come through, and ultimately hitting all the way down to going to that. So if you're working yourself to death in the gym and you want to start making real money, that's a great way of doing it. So that was one ad. And then I saw another ad earlier that kind of really hits on the current situation that a lot of fitness pros are in right now, where you don't believe anyone who tells you that your online fitness business shouldn't be thriving more than ever right now. So, really important where he kind of goes through, kind of shares, video in his own personal home gym, shows you his home office as well. So again, using effectively kind of his, story and kind of sharing as well, like you don't have to be a complete expert. You can be a complete beginner, and it's a great time to do it. So building your online business and getting going, great time to do it. A lot of skepticism people might have right now, like maybe I need to wait a little bit longer till this pandemic is over, or maybe I need an online certification or things like that. So he's really hitting on kind of the false beliefs that his audience might have to get them to the point where they start taking some action and joining the webinar and doing it that way. So, and then again, kind of goes back to his process as well, that you don't have to be killer. You don't have to do a lot of the closing on the phone. You don't have to do paid ads. You don't need a huge social media following. You can do it really from scratch, and that's really what his program is all about. So again, hitting on those objections where people might say, I'm not quite ready yet, or maybe I have to do this over several years before I'm ready. He's really hitting on kind of those, pretty quickly. And then really, getting into his story as well. So that's what he does in a little bit more detail in the video, kind of talking about his story, about how he started out, as a coach, and, how he's built a lot of these businesses as well. And then again, the curiosity bullets, again, designed to, even if, it really is designed, even one of these bullets could capture an audience's or a prospect's attention. And that's the reason they join the webinar. And that's really the idea here. Is you have 4 or 5 that really might not speak to everybody, but there might be one that gets them to join, and that's good enough. So again, talking about a secret pillar, talking about 6 unique skills, how to become a go-to online fitness trainer in downtime. So all of these bullets are designed to kind of increase the curiosity. Some of them mention the benefits along the way, but they're just trying to get you to click to that next step. So they're not trying to sell the program in totality. They're just trying to get you back to that webinar registration page, learn a little bit more, and get registered as well. So you're a little bit more motivated. You have a better idea of who Vince is and how he could help you, and he gets you to that page. And again, on that webinar is where he's going to start to build that relationship. And it's very much about, if you think about a prospect needs 5 to 7 touch points to get you to the point where they're ready to buy from you. He's really doing that. So you hit that Google ad, hit that webinar registration page. You might have closed out, been distracted by something else, hits you with a couple different remarketing ads where he has videos to allow you to get to know him. So you might see multiple of them. So over a few days, I saw 2 separate ones, but obviously he has a lot of other ads out there as well. So you might see 3, 4, or 5 before you're ready to sign up for that webinar. Once you get on the webinar, you build that relationship with him, you get a better idea of what the program's all about. You hear about all the success stories, then you're ready to buy. You might be at touch point 5, 6, or 7 at that point. And again, he's kind of built that relationship slowly but steadily. It's not one where, he kind of, hit you on the sales page. For some people, they might be ready and motivated to, go right away and sign up for the webinar and sign up for the program right away. But, for everybody else, they might need a little bit more motivation. They might need some education and value to get to the point where they're ready to sign up. And I think within Vince's marketing, he understands that and is moving along the audience to do that, really thinking about those touch points, but also, people are at various different stages, various different situations within their fitness professionals, career. They might not be a little bit more experienced. Those other people, they might be a little bit more overworked. They might be earlier in their career as well. So he's just trying to speak to various different people along the way, hitting their objections, hitting those false beliefs, and getting them in the right mindset where they can sign up for the program and get to the point where they're ready to take action right away. So with that, we're going to hop over. I'm going to show you a little bit more about the emails. Obviously, as you sign up for the webinar, the idea is that you'd sign up and show up live for that webinar. He does it after hours, so it kind of increases the potential that you would sign up after you've been in the gym all day or worked with your clients during the day as well. And again, in that, he kind of went through his program in detail, gave away a few bonuses, kind of talked through it, went through any Q&A that might be available. Obviously, as you go through that, not everybody signed up. So after that, he did provide a replay link. And then, along with that, a long series of emails that, again, try to just kind of continue a lot of the material that he covered within the webinar, especially for those people that didn't sign up, or even for those people that did sign up. Let me just kind of, remind you of a lot of things that I talked about so you get to the point where you're ready to sign up for the program right away. So let's go through and take a look at his emails. And especially mine, where I didn't show up for the webinar. How did that impact how he emailed me, and what was kind of his system for trying to get me to sign up? Check out his emails. So I signed up a little bit earlier, so you can see the long list of emails that he sent me. So today, for example, he sent me 4 different emails just today. For a lot of people, that might seem like a lot, but for me, like emailing as much as possible, especially kind of around when they first sign up. Think about whenever they sign up for your webinar or anything else, that's the height of their motivation, where they might have the most interest in your business or your coaching. So you want to, especially in that first week, that first 7 days, think about as the days go on, their motivation might be lagging a little bit. The reason you might be sending me 4 on this day is because it's a Saturday, so maybe he thinks I have a little bit more time, and he can get in front of me a little bit more. Other days you can see he sent me 2, during the week. But again, doing an effective job of think about your audience. They have to reach a certain amount of touch points before they've reached kind of that know, like, and trust factor with you. And again, if they haven't joined your webinar, if they haven't interacted or gone through your sales page in detail, email is your best way to kind of start building that relationship really effectively. And regardless of what you have on your email, it's a great way to kind of hit, again, some of those false beliefs, objections, share some success stories, tell them a little bit more about your story as well. So if you do nothing else and you just send really effective emails that have great subject lines, that get people to open, that get them to respond to your emails, that get them to click to your sales pages, you're in really good shape. And that's why I think email is really important to building that relationship over time, because it's just really easily digestible by your audience. Like every single day, they can get in the habit of reading your stuff, building, they build that relationship. They start to trust you a little bit more. They get an idea of what your program's all about, and they start clicking on it, hearing about those success stories, again, digging in a little bit deeper. And again, it plants the seed in their mind, like, okay, maybe this Vince guy can help me, because I've been reading a lot of his stuff, and it seems to make sense, and he's hitting on a lot of the things that I thought before, but now I'm in the right mindset to maybe show up for this program. And it kind of just the repetition, the consistency, but also telling the right stories can get people over the line very effectively. So as you can see, I signed up on October 18th. One of the things that I would say, so you can see in some of the first few emails, he's trying to hit on some of those objections you might have, false beliefs that you might have. So the first one was, do I need an online certification? Do I need education before I'm ready to start my online business? And in that email, he kind of hits on that you absolutely don't. Like, that's one of those false beliefs that a lot of people have, and especially in those certification companies, that's what they're pitching, but you definitely don't need it, and kind of tells the story of why that's the case and why he didn't need it for his own business. So that was really important. I think one of the things as well is, especially with live webinars, is sending a little bit more, one thing I'd tell him to do, or suggest that he do, is kind of send more emails up until that webinar. So you can see, I signed up, and then, the one other email specifically about the webinar is 1 hour before. But I think in that lead up to the webinar, certainly could have sent me more emails to, again, kind of prepare that curiosity, tell me more about the benefits of showing up for that webinar. Again, your best bet is for people to actually show up for that webinar, build that relationship with you over that hour, or 45 minutes, or 40 minutes, whatever it is. And then to go on and potentially buy your program, or to continue on in that way. So I think could have had more of an opportunity to send more emails in that lead up to the webinar to, again, remind me a little bit more. So if I missed this live in 1 hour, or, if life just got busy and I forgot about what time I signed up for, or things like that, always send more emails than less, because you never know what emails people are going to read, which ones they're not. Just staying top of mind is really important, especially if you're trying to get somebody to a live webinar to show up, to that. So, so I didn't show up for the webinar. Just, it was one of those things that didn't work for my schedule. But you can see, and in the preceding emails, he does send you a link to it. So what I'm going to do is kind of just show you what that webinar replay page looks like, because he does a little bit more. It's kind of effectively a replay link, but below that gives kind of a sales page of everything that's included. So again, if you don't watch the replay, you have a lot of information about what he was selling below. And I just want to show you that in a little bit more detail. But again, as you kind of go through this and see some of the other subject lines as well, what he's trying to do is not only motivate you to take action, but you can see some of the ones that you'll hit those false beliefs as well. So again, you don't need paid ads to get there. He's kind of selling the fact that you should see this masterclass and hit the replay link, hitting on, do you need money to make money? So again, that goes back to not needing any paid ads to get started. Another one, like maybe I'm not in shape to start an online fitness business. Do I have to wait till I'm fully in shape to get there? He actually shares one of his own personal stories about how even before he was fully in shape, he was kind of built a program that kind of showed that transformation along the way. So again, kind of sharing effective stories and kind of knowing your audience really well and knowing what are those things that might be holding them back and sending emails to really do it that way. The other thing on email, so again, I didn't join the webinar, but kind of think about your, in those emails to people that didn't show up for the webinar, like how should you structure them? So obviously hitting them on these false beliefs is really important, but I would almost break up the webinar into, the pieces that you had. So obviously he spent time on his own personal story. He shared some of those success stories that he had, spent some time on the guarantee that he has, some Q&A. So we went through some common questions or, objections or hesitations that they might have. The way I would kind of structure that, the automated email sequence for those that didn't sign up for the webinar. And I believe he has at least a few emails in here that follow that is really follow that structure. So, assume that that if I didn't show up and I didn't hit that replay link, kind of tell me the stories, share the stories that he shared in the webinar, around his story. So one of the emails might be a little bit more about his story and why you should listen to him. Another story might be a select success story from more recently about somebody that joined the program and transformed their business from within that physical gym to an online fitness business. And he's got, as you'll see, he's got a lot of them. So that could be an individual email. He's got a lot on the hesitations and false beliefs. So I think he's got that covered, but an individual, kind of FAQ email that kind of covers all the common questions within the actual email and goes through that. And one email that I always include a lot, especially if in the webinars, but also all email sequences, is really asking the prospect, like, more directly, like, I saw that you didn't take the action that I wanted you to take. In this case, joining my program, is there anything, can you tell me the reason why? And really getting them to reply and seeing if there's anything else that maybe you didn't cover in the email sequence. And not everybody's going to reply to that, but the few that do will give you a lot of good research and knowledge about what are those other objections, hesitations that you didn't cover within your email sequence, and how can you cover that? And really just starting that email conversation is really good to get somebody over the line that you need to. So again, being more direct anytime that you're seeing that people aren't either joining your webinar replay or signing up for your program. Don't feel like you can't just go directly and ask them, like, is there anything that's really holding you back within your personal situation or your fitness business, or any hesitations that you might have right now that I could potentially address by just hitting reply and going it that way. So to kind of end my video here, I'm going to go through his webinar replay and just show you how he kind of did a modified sales page below the webinar to really sell his six-figure program. And you didn't show up for that live webinar. And again, most people will not show up for the live webinar. That's no offense to you. Just people get busy and everything else. So you got to reply. You got to give them a replay link to kind of join whatever happened, especially if you have a webinar once a week. You can't have too long of a wait period before they can kind of check out what's going on. So, in this kind of, Vince provides kind of a replay link. He's got the video right here with the headline a little bit to catch your attention. What is it all about? Why should I click on that? Talks about all the bonuses, training and bonuses there. Again, the idea within a webinar is to provide some value up front, some education, not just to sell your stuff, but in that first part, kind of introduce yourself, build your authority, kind of give some education. So I believe, again, I didn't go through the full thing, but in watching parts of it, it looks like he used Russell Brunson's kind of perfect webinar script, where he kind of went through 3 secrets of building your online fitness business, and kind of shared and kind of teased out some of the important parts of his six-figure program, again, to build curiosity to the point where you're ready to buy and to kind of build that belief. And then he kind of, spent a lot of time on the objections again. So in those same objections that you saw in the email, kind of spent a lot of time on kind of knocking that down, getting people to some urgency and scarcity to get them to take action. So that's really what the bonuses were all about, but also to kind of knock down anything you'll see from there. So you'll see the bonuses are really meant to kind of hit on what other additional objections, hesitations what you have, and really building up the value of the program. So it just feels like a no-brainer for you, regardless of what the cost is. In this case, it's around $2,000. So gives you an idea. So again, that discount makes you feel like you got a really great deal. This is kind of a fast action type of thing. So it's one of those that you're getting some value there as well. So one of the first things he starts with is kind of that social proof. So again, anytime you're coming, especially in the fitness business, there's a lot of competition. There's a lot of coaching programs. So you have to kind of reduce some of that skepticism by talking about some of the results that you've gotten for your students. And Vince does a really great job of this, kind of sharing stories from his more recent students. So these top three right here, especially they were all students in the last 6 months. So again, they all went through that COVID period where their jobs were affected by it, their gyms were closed down, and they had to get to the point where they were transitioning to an online business, and they got results really quickly. So in some of them, they talked about how they recouped that investment they made in the program within a matter of weeks and months. So again, talking about that ROI opportunity. So it makes kind of that initial investment seems really low and something that you could recoup right away. One of the other things I talk about all the time is including video testimonials. And you see that here. So, the ability to kind of see and hear from somebody that's been through your program, hear their enthusiasm, hear about their success, and hear them talking about their story. So in each of their videos, they share what their personal story was, how they came to the program, what results they've got, and what their life is like right now. So again, it's not about, Vince is this great coach, and that's what the video is all about. You're able to kind of resonate with these specific people. So as you go through this page, you might be looking, and typically your prospect's going to look for that person that maybe looks exactly like you. And as you hear their story, you might hear elements of that really resonate with them. And again, that's a great way of kind of just knocking down that question that they might have, like, Vince can't help me with my unique situation. Well, he's got a person right in front of you, a real person that you can see, who made a video for him talking very enthusiastically about how they got results. So, why can't you do the same? And again, covering, a lot of the stuff that he covered in the webinar. So here's everything that you'll get. Again, he has an opportunity here. Again, I think what you try to do is start with the benefits in terms of those testimonials, but I think he could, add a little bit more detail about all the benefits that you might be able to see and kind of bringing out a little bit. So again, just because those video testimonials are on the page, don't assume that people are going to click on them and listen to them. So kind of share, I could have shared a little bit more detail about what these testimonials were all about. So if you didn't listen to that video, you'd have all the information here. The key is that don't just assume because it's on the page, or just assume that, if you have a webinar that people are going to show up. Actually assume that they're not going to watch the video and things like that, and provide them everything on the page so they have a good idea regardless of what action they take. So, if they watch the video and they read the text below, they'll have a good reminder of what the story was and things like that. So again, leading with a lot of the benefits here before you get into everything that's included. So again, everybody isn't really, what's included, the coaching program, things like that, isn't as important for people in that buying decision as what is their life going to be like afterwards? How are they going to take this investment in this program, and what's their, what's the end benefit going to be? What's their life going to look like? What's that online business going to look like for them? So it's important to kind of weave that in, and he does that to a certain extent as he goes through some of the areas here and kind of mentioning the value, but I think he could have allocated a section to it before he even got into this as well to, again, kind of get that person really developed. Again, assume that just because that replay link is at the top, don't assume that people are going to watch it. They might just scroll down the page and try and figure out what it was all about. And again, really great success stories here. So you can see kind of the demographics and the genders. He's kind of covering, so the success stories a little bit higher, we're a little bit younger. So, here's a little bit more experienced personal trainers. So again, kind of hitting all areas of potential prospects to give you an idea of, it's not just certain people. It's not just those young personal trainers he's able to help. It's these people as well that have been in the business for 20, 30 years, and they've been able to transform their business as well as you go through that. And then going through in a little bit more detail about this, I think this is where he probably had an opportunity to talk a little bit more about his story and how he kind of lived out this story as well. So what he's teaching is actual process that he used in his own business to go from those in-person sessions at the gym to an online fitness business, and how he was able to build those 4 or 7-figure businesses in the fitness space. So a little bit more about him might have been helpful, especially if nobody watched the webinar or the webinar link. Just an easier way to share a little bit more about his story and a lot of the things that he might have covered in the webinar. And here, again, he kind of covers it here, but, talking about experts and not gurus, about how he kind of used a lot of the process that he talks about in his own business, and he's kind of lived that out, and how he's learning from his students as they go along, and what's working right now in social media and elsewhere. And they're really constantly refining that process to make it work along the way. And then kind of differentiating use of the fitness, kind of recognizing that the fitness business is very competitive. So giving you the ability to kind of create your unique space, rise you above your competition, and allowing you to create a sustainable business as well. So kind of hitting on maybe some of those fears that you might have before taking action. And then he kind of gets into like, what are those unique, what are kind of the unique mechanisms behind the problem that you might have in terms of maybe you tried to start an online fitness business. So what were some of the things that might knock you down, or what are some of those obstacles? And he really tries to align the program with some of those obstacles. So, the problem might be overthinking as we go along. It might be over planning. And he talks about within the curriculum, he has solutions for that. Within his program, he has a support system to kind of show you how you don't have to overplan. You can keep it very simple, overcomplicating it. So maybe you have a variety of different tiers and structures in terms of pricing. His program is all about keeping it simple, so you can learn more about that in the community, or maybe coaches in there have already seen the success and already can give you advice on what price points you should put it in there and how to keep it simple along the way. So really aligning in terms of, if you've tried to start an online business, or you've seen other people do it and they've failed for whatever reason, kind of hitting on those points on, how, what has kind of been the obstacle in the way, and how has he set up a program that really gives you that full support along the way to get you to the other side. So really important to, again, get to the point where you can say, I understand the market, I understand where you're going to fall down, and this program is really designed to get you to the other side, so that there's just, unless you don't take action, the only way you fail is there really is no way to fail. And it kind of gets into the guarantee that he talked about on his webinar, where, okay, if you don't get to the point where you actually go through the program, they can see that you've taken the action and you don't see success, that's where they'll give you your money back and $500 on top of that. So, pretty impressive guarantee that he talks about within that webinar, that they're actually going to give you money over and above that refund. It really just speaks to, they built a program that kind of knows the path along the way, knows what obstacles, problems you're going to face as you go along, and having the resources in the community there to kind of help you along the way. And further shows this with additional social proof. So if you didn't watch the video, here's just an easy way to do that. You can kind of look at some of these Facebook posts and some of the key things here. So again, kind of just hitting on that skepticism that you might have, seeing how a long list of people have been successful. So it just kind of makes it an easy decision for you to enroll and go through, just because you're in a place right now where you want to take action. And then again, the bonuses are really designed if you have any hesitations about things like, I don't have a following right now, like how can I get that going? So bonus number 1 is talking about Instagram growth secrets. So maybe you can start that following on your Instagram and get that going right away. That bonus number 2 again hits that really specifically as well. So if you don't want to go into Instagram, here's other ways you can start building that following and start getting clients in real time in the next few days and weeks to getting there. as well. And then he gets into like, okay, how do I actually go out there and build my following? How do I put out an offering out there? But, the execution of that is really important. So, the bonus right here talking about workouts, recipes, like here's how you can actually work with your clients. It's kind of a done for you type program where they're really just giving you everything you need to know. It's really just a matter of you going out there and executing. You have all the tools that you need, and you go and connect with your audience and go through that. And again, same thing with content. So again, one of the important hesitations you might have with social media is like, what do I say? Like, if I want to get on a video or Facebook Live, or I want to post on, Instagram or something like that, like, what do I say? So again, they're giving you a content formula to get started. And again, it's more of a done for you type program where you can kind of customize it for your unique perspective and get it going right away. And then that kickstart call to make sure that you're in the right mindset, you're getting motivated, you're going to take that action that you need to. So, and then as you go along, you have all this, and then it gets down to, at the very end, that's where he gets into, the pricing and kind of getting you into specific options. And he does have an email in terms of like common questions as well. So that's always important, somewhere on the page, either on this page or in an email, kind of going through what other additional questions might you have in terms of the program, so that you're in the right mindset. You have everything, no hesitations, no objections. You're ready to buy right away because all your answers have been covered. If not, get on a call with, one of his support staff, or hit that, reply email. So it's always important to make sure that there's no confusion, no questions, at the end of it. Once they're ready, willing, they're either going to say yes or no to that. And that's really your idea within sales. You want to get to the point where, it's either a definite yes or a definite no. You don't want any in between where people are just like, I'm a little bit confused about this. I'm not sure about that. I have questions about this. Let's cover all that so they can make a definitive yes or no answer to that, and kind of move on from that as well. So, that's the funnel breakdown today on Vince Del Monte. Again, check out his stuff, Vince Del Monte, six-figure, program right there. He also has a 7-figure mastermind, which is kind of the next step for fitness pros that go through his program. Let me know in the comments what you thought was the best part of, his funnel, and in terms of the points where maybe you can see some improvements that you saw as you go through it. Let me know in the comments as well. Again, hit that subscribe button, hit that notification bell so that every single week you get alerted when I'm putting out content about funnels and kind of the best practices there. Also, check out my website at mindsetcopy.com, where I have a series of webinar replays from earlier this year where I kind of go through in a little bit more detail some of the best practices about telling your own story to your online marketplace, how you can go out there and put some online ads together for your business, kind of covering each stage of the funnel in a little bit more detail, along with email. So you have kind of those best practices, what's working in the market right now. I walk you through it in a lot of very detail. You can see some of the webinar replays, see those sections that might make the most sense for you. And again, the idea is that if you have an existing funnel right now, there's always areas that you can improve, get your ad costs lower, or get that response conversion rate a little bit higher, so you're getting the right clients in front of you. So until next week, I'll see you then.